Now I want to introduce you to our host today, who is Antoinette, as I mentioned. Now, she's the founder of Just Helpers, which is an ethical cleaning company based in London. And what she is going to be talking about today is the buy one, give one model and how she has integrated it into her business and the impact of that. So you might have heard of this. It's quite a kind of one of those models that's talked about a lot. But we wanted to actually explore like introduction to it, but also the practical side from a founder's experience, how she chose that model, how she's actually practically putting it into place, and the impact that she's seeing, how to make the most of it. So I think that's all I want to say over there. You can check out Just Helpers on social media, and there's their website as well. And I think I'll hand over to you, Antoinette, now, and look forward to the session.
Great morning, everyone. I'm just jotting down what your potential takeaways are, and I may ask you a bit more about that, Nicola and Simon. One of the things that I'd say, the joys of there just being 4 of us, is that we can make this a lot more of an intimate session. So please feel free to interrupt as we're going through, apart from if it's a movie clip, but you know, let's just use this space. Once I go into presentation mode, I actually can't see the chat and your faces, so that's a bit frustrating. So just interject, like literally go for it. I really want to hear back from you, and I hope that at the end of this, you can really feel inspired to think about how you can move yourself and your business forwards. Actually, it's going to be a bit cheeky. Can I ask a little bit about each of your businesses, and then Nicola to tell me about this dynamic donation reward thing in a very brief way, and Simon, just to tell me how your bread making, is that have I got the right thing going on there? I just guess how your economic model is set up right now, so that it gives me a bit of bandwidth for the end of the presentation. So go, Nicola, let's start with you.
Thanks. Yeah, so basically we were born out of wanting to make advertising more purposeful. So the way we wanted to do that was by rewarding engagements with donations to charity. And we felt like that was the most appropriate way to do it, because people are often giving discounts and things like that, but we wanted to make sure that there was an onward sort of social impact. So we're building a platform so that businesses can build this into their advertising, which is a space that's pretty far behind on purposeful credentials side of things. So that is currently happening. It's being built, and we're raising investment to do that at the moment. So yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm here is basically because I'm just fascinated by all sorts of donation models and how businesses can integrate them into their like DNA, basically, and just keen to understand more about the buy one give one side
Awesome.
of things as well. So
okay, I think we can check that box.
Some myself. Hiya. Yeah, so we're a community bakery down here in Hove. And essentially, yeah, economically, normal. We'd got to a point where a lot of our income was income from sales and things like that, and a minimal amount of kind of funding. We don't have any kind of form of donations at all at the moment, and we've kind of had to flip that slightly and have a slightly more funding dependent over the last year, but hopefully we'll get back to normality and be driven by kind of sales as soon as we can. But yeah, we're just interested in that idea of, yeah, the kind of not buy one get one free, but buy one give one, and how it may or may not work for us in a small bakery, either for immediate like bread sales, or whether it's a kind of workshop give forward kind of thing.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I think we checked that as well. And do you both know about Sarah and what she does?
Yeah, I know Sarah.
Okay, Sarah, is there anything else you want to add into this? Like, what are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, it's really interesting because I think something I come across a lot when I'm working with early stage businesses, specifically in places like accelerators, where maybe the businesses aren't specifically driven by this kind of impact and purpose, is that a lot of them are starting to kind of figure out actually there are values that are important to them. Might not be the core, and that's okay, but they want to figure out how to integrate impact. And I know the buy one give one model, but I'm really interested to hear practically actually how do you put that into practice? What does it look like? What decisions do you make, so I can support other people who are on that journey as well?
Fabulous. Okay, that's all great. So let me kick into my presentation. So what I'm hoping that we'll cover by the end of this session is why give, and I'm going to talk about my journey into giving. I'm going to look at the framework for giving, which B1G1 really wonderfully uses. So part of the reason why I use it is that I was doing a lot of thinking around this, and when I was introduced to it and introduced to another community using it, all three things aligned. So it worked well for me, and it might be something that you can implement or talk to clients about as well. I'm going to talk about what to give, because that's something that it's taken us, well, we've been with B1G1 now for 18 months, but it's taken us quite a while to find our level and find a place of comfort and joy in that, and then talk about B1G1. And what I hope to do is give you sort of a live demo of what I do and how it works for us month on month. So I hope that's okay. I've put Q&A at the end, but as I said, let's make it informal, just interject at any point. I hate not being able to see you. So we've already talked about what we hope to get out of the session. So one of my big whys is really about joy. I can't tell you, the first time I gave on the B1 platform, I literally sat down and cried for half an hour. It sounds weird and pathetic, but it's one of my high notes every single month. It's part of my DNA as well. But I love this quote from Maya Angelou. I found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Everyone's going to have their own agenda for giving, right from the, we ought to do it, it's going to make us look better, right through to, I believe in paying it forward, like Simon said, and it's part of who I want to be. So I guess it's good for you to understand what's your rationale for giving, but mine is around joy. So part of my background, I'm a Christian, so giving is just part of my faith expression. From a very young age, I was taught about giving 10% of anything I had, so pocket money, and really grew up understanding that there were people around me that weren't so fortunate. And actually, I was one of those people at a point. I was a looked after child. I've had to receive a lot of charity in my life, both financial, people's time, people's emotional investment. And I know the profound impact that that's had on my life. And I knew from an early age, I want to get to that position in life where I can both give and receive, not just be a recipient. So yeah, it's part of who I've been all along. I think for me, being a Christian, I very profoundly understand, I think everyone does, that life is not just about taking and gaining and stashing and storing, that in order for us to exist in a world where everybody thrives, we've got to get over that stockpiling mentality and start thinking about how we can share and redistribute resources so that everyone can thrive. So for us as a business, it's something I've done in one way or another, pretty much from the early days of business. So I think my first year, I looked at what I had left at the end of the year, and I personally give to a number of charities. And so I just whacked, I think, 10% of what was left into a charity. And that didn't go so well. I mean, it was great, great for a moment. But 10% actually as a business owner, I found out was quite a stretch. And so I had to just think about, well, what do I do next year? So by year 2, I started to have team members. But again, cleaners are on a lower wage compared to me. I mean, where we pay above the London living wage, the real living wage. But even then, I didn't feel good about kind of impacting them for my thirst to give. So at Christmas, I just said, on behalf of myself and all the team, we're giving away, I think it was like 300 quid to, I'm invested in charities for children. That's what kind of rocks my boat. And so I think I gave to Great Ormond Street Hospital that first Christmas. But the interesting thing is, and so my social media person said, we should be shouting about this. I'm like, really? It's just it's my gig. I've just communicated it to you guys as a team so that on our behalf, that's what we've done. But she did. And the interesting thing was that team members, like we call them helpers, came back to us and they were just thrilled. They were really thrilled that they were working for an organization that thought to do something like that. And so the next Christmas, I thought, okay, I'm just going to set a challenge. So I made it really private. I posted out into our group, if anyone would like to, we're going to do the Christmas charity again. If anyone would like to give, we as a business will match whatever you give, but just let me know privately. It's a team thing. So it doesn't matter if you can give 50 pence or £5. No one's going to know. And then I'll match it. And then together we'll give this sum of money. Well, I was blown away by their generosity. I think that first Christmas, I had about a team of 10 and we had just over £300 from them, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're on a low income, that's averaging 30 quid a person. And so we were able to double that and give. But more than anything, I realized they had a joy of giving. I was flooded by messages from all of those 10 thanking me for taking money off them to give to a charity that is, I think it was still a children's at the NSPCC that year. But they just loved it. So that really made me think that this isn't just me. This seems to be a general human thing. And so by next year, we had 40 colleagues. We did the same again. Obviously, the sum of money was larger. The impact that we could make was bigger. We gave to 2 different charities. And by the 4th year, I started to think, well, I'm just kind of slaking my own personal thirst here. And so I got the managers involved. I had managers by that point, and I asked each of them to nominate a charity that was dear to them. And then we put it out to the helpers to vote on which 2 we'd go through. And they just loved that. They really felt that they were an intrinsic part of this and looked forward to it. They'd be getting texts in October, when do we start our Christmas giving? So we still do that. We'll still have a Christmas charity. We've tried to get clients involved in that, but actually it doesn't seem to work. But my helpers, my cleaning team, absolutely love that. And that just allows us to give a one-off something to a charity of their choice, which means that they invest. So in the last Christmas give, most of my team are Bulgarian. We actually ended up giving to a children's home in Bulgaria, and we provided them with a whole waft of tech equipment, books, stationery, and it really made them happy. So that was great. But in that time, I've just been thinking, like personally, I have a rhythmical practice of giving. So I have a monthly thing that goes on. And I just thought, I don't think it's great for the business to have this one spot of giving in the year. It's unpredictable as well, and it doesn't chime with how I live my normal life. And so around 18 years ago, I was introduced to B1G1, and I've never looked back. And I'll go on to say a bit more about that. Did any of that resonate with any of you? Like, in terms of your whys, and have you tried just sort of one-off giving through your businesses?
Yes.
We sorry, we haven't tried one-off giving by business, but it did resonate for definite. I think we haven't, for whatever reason.
Okay, and that could be a small way. Like, it could just be that at Christmas or at one point in the year, your birthday, as clients are coming in, you could just have a one-off, like, we're doing this as a one-off hit. And that's a small way in. And it doesn't matter if you raise 50 quid, 10 quid, whatever, it's one way of engaging your passion with your team and your clients as well. Moving on, however. So then I came across this, the Global Goals for Sustainable Development. Has anyone heard of this? This is a UN initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I kind of was thinking, this is amazing, this is great, but how the heck do I even get started with this? So I've been percolating on that for a while. It's in 2015, for those who don't know, world leaders agreed to 17 global goals, officially known as the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. And the idea was that these goals should have the power to create a better world by 2030. So 15 years to transform the world by ending poverty, fighting inequality, climate change. So these are all things that rock my soul. And you know, I've been attending conferences around this. It's part of why I was attracted to Business for Good. Good Business Club, because I understood if I have a business, I have a responsibility. If I have a life, actually, I have a responsibility. The world is greater than just me, but still really wrestling with how do I practically engage with all of this, any of this, part of this. So at the end, I'll actually just jot down, it's really easy, just click in UN Sustainable Goals and it will take you there. If I had the chat available, I would just pop that in now. What I particularly love about these is that these goals are based on science and data. So it's no political agenda or religious agenda. And I kind of thought, this is something that I think my whole team and my whole client base could get behind, because it's not just about what makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Actually, this is a worldwide thing, and within these 17 goals, there is definitely something for everyone to get excited about. So I've recently joined a new community called Dent. And actually, I'd already signed up for B1G1. It was quite haphazard though, in terms of what I was doing 18 months ago. But in joining Dent, which really aligned with me, because what their mantra is, or the end of their mantra is that we need to make a dent in the world, show up, make a difference, make a dent, and that our businesses should be forces for good. And they started to talk about the global goals, but asked two questions. They said, rather than kind of trying to see it as a whole, try and pick two, or encourage your clients to pick two, one for your head and one for your heart. And this was really, really helpful for me. So the head goal aligns with my business. It makes sense to my team. It makes sense to my clients. But heart is just what I wake up in the morning and, I just want to change. And that's a personal one for me or my team collectively. So for me, the head goal for our business is around goal 8, decent work and economic growth. We're all about completely transforming the cleaning industry so that cleaners are able to thrive, that they walk away with a salary, with a wage, with working conditions that enable them to thrive and enjoy the work that they do. And that's going to involve loads of change for us, loads of political change, employment law change, public perception change. So it's a big, huge, messy mission that we've got going on, but it totally fits into goal 8. And just my warm and fuzzy, like I struggled about this because I'm, all about gender equality, but actually I just keep, whenever I select things in B1G1, it is all around poverty. And I think that that's partly my background, where my biggest fear is ending up homeless and on the streets. And so poverty is a real driver for me. I've got an anti-trafficking background, campaigning. Poverty is the thing that makes people vulnerable to really terrible life decisions. So those are the two that work for me. And I'd love to pose that question to you guys. Would you, even for your life or for your business right now, be able to name one for your head and one for your heart? And give you like a couple of seconds, more than that, to have a think.
I'll go. So I think probably just very quickly, and I've probably started at the beginning, which means I'm probably favouring the ones in the early numbers here. The bakehouse it's about baking bread, but it's mainly about well-being. So 3 is probably our business one, I would imagine. And I'm from a background of education. I used to be a teacher, so I think I get as far as 4 down the list for quality education for all. So kind of, yeah, I mean, gender equality in terms of education as well. So yeah.
Cool. Sarah?
I think for me, oh, sorry, did I cut someone off?
No, go for it, Nicola.
For my heart, I think it would be climate action. Like, I'm an environmentalist and I'm pretty heavily involved in quite a lot of climate movements. So I would be doing it a disservice if I didn't pick that one. But for work-wise, I think it's really hard to choose, because we would essentially enable other businesses to do this. But I would say possibly industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and hopefully consider that as an opportunity for springboarding new ideas and better opportunities.
And another one that might chime for you guys as well is partnership for the goals. And that's essentially what your whole business model is around, enabling others to get on board with giving structures or practices. Cool. Sarah?
Yeah, I think similar to most people, I think it's so hard to pick one, especially for your heart. But I think for me, something I've always been really passionate is life below water, because there's so much in the oceans that can actually sustain our world, and it's just getting, just abolished all the time. And I think similar to Nicola, I was thinking industry, innovation, and infrastructure as well. So I think for GBC, especially, like, everyone's got their goals, right? So you're like, how can you be a space for everything? Yeah. This is really helping me think how we could potentially even bring some of this into the GBC membership as well, to be able to touch upon different people's goals and the importance of it.
Cool. So, this takes a while, and discuss with partners, team members, clients, and figure out what would instinctively work for you and for them. But this is one way of doing it, and it's the way that works for me. It gives structure to the mess that was going on in my mind. So I'm really interested to hear, just dig a little bit deeper into your why. And I'd love to know, if you were to finish this sentence, what would it sound like? I see a vision of the world where in the future, ... What comes out for you?
I'm happy to start because I've got mine already. So I see a vision of the world where in the future, business is not defined whether it's good or bad. Good business practice is just the norm.
Cool.
That was very slick.
I have practiced it.
That's cheating.
I see a vision of the world where in the future, cleaning is a profession that's respected, well paid for, and where cleaners are seen as a vital part of somebody's family and paid at that level. So mine's a bit messy.
Mine would probably be, if it was work related, I see a vision of the world where in the future, every interaction, transaction, and action has a positive onward impact.
Darn, that's me now. Right.
Slick.
No, it won't be, don't worry. I see a vision of the world where in the future, well-being is at the heart of business.
Cool. And so Sarah sounds like she's done the most work on this, but one of the things when coronavirus is over and stress levels are much lower, this is one of the things that I want to start working on, because I know that intrinsically when the going gets tough, and I start to ask myself questions like, can we really afford to give this month? Can we, la, 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 and I do it, it's like my world turns the right way up again. I haven't done hard sell into my clients sort of saying, this is what we're doing, but there will be a marketing impact at some point when I can get my head around it. I definitely know, I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews, and my thing is about young people. That's also runs through my DNA. I need to be able to look at the next generation and let them know that I showed up and I did my bit to shape their world. And so for me, I want to do some thinking around, what does my business stand for? Because there are so many levels of business. Yes, it's offering a great service. Yes, it's enabling everyone in your workforce to thrive and do well and feel, you know, accepted and all of those things. But genuinely, and I know we're all here, and I think this is a common purpose, you know, it's because we want to show up and make a difference today and tomorrow. And shaping this statement, I think, will really help both team members wanting to join and potential clients understand even more the value of working with organizations like us. I think that we need to start making these statements a lot more explicit so that people get that value. So one of the things that I've been refining is how much to give, when to give, and then the how. And we're going to move on to the how next, which is the B1G1 platform. I would love to be able to show this video, but now I'm a bit scared that my videos aren't working, so I'm not going to. This is a really interesting concept. It's called the 1% pledge. Has anybody heard of that?
There's an initiative for 1% for the planet, which I've heard of.
This might be it. It might be similar, but a group of people have come up with this idea that if you can think about giving 1% of either your profit or your product or your time or your equity, and if every business did that, it would make a massive impact. The great thing about the 1% idea is that it's scalable, so it, you know, grows as you grow. And it's not so much, it's not back to my 10% giving, which kind of damages you and means that your business isn't viable potentially. But it's sustained, it's consistent. It should feel good, right? When we give it, otherwise we won't keep coming back to do it again and again and again. And finally, it should be easy. But again, I'll pop this link in the chat, the 1% pledge. Again, if you Google it, you'll come up with videos and the ideas and the concept. And that really chimes with me. So what we actually give each month isn't much. We tend to give around £300 each month, which doesn't sound like much, but over time, you start to see the difference. And as we grow, that figure changes ever so slightly by 10 pence, a pound, £2, but it makes more sense to me, and it's definitely more manageable for the business. So during COVID, we raised our prices. In fact, even before that, when we knew we were going for it with B1G1, we raised our prices. And we looked at tacking on an extra 5 pence for every cleaning hour. But for you, Simon, for instance, it could be 2 pence for every bun or loaf of bread or whatever. It doesn't have to be big at all. And again, you could shout about that in your marketing. You know, for every loaf of bread you buy, 2 pence goes, or a part or a percentage goes to a project somewhere in the world. So that was my first hurdle that I had to get over. I don't have to be thinking in terms of hundreds of pounds. I can be thinking in pences, and B1G1 enables me to do that really wonderfully. I went with B1G1 because it's a global thing. So I like that. It means that there are projects all the way around the world, including in the UK, including in Eastern Europe, where I've got team members from, that I could be regularly giving to without. So one of the hurdles that we'd discovered when we tried to give to the charity in Bulgaria, which is all sorts of hoops with accountants, with actually even just delivering equipment from one country to the next that has a very different infrastructure to us, getting receipts if we were ordering in country for them. It was a nightmare. It took us 7 months to deliver on that promise, which was really frustrating for all of us involved. Whereas with the B1G1 model, I know that it's been curated on the ground, and my time in terms of involvement it's momentary. It's like, It could be 5 minutes of my month. It could be 0. I could literally automate the whole thing. It's just that I'm quite geeky and I love the idea of just going through and reading all the projects. So it takes me about 20 minutes each month. And that's just because I want more joy as I do it. So what I'd love to do is show you the D1 platform. I'm really hoping that you can see my screen. I'm going to be gutted if you can't, because this is the bit that you're all signing in for. So bear with me. I'm just going to go straight to, need to see that. I'm just going to put up a browser. Sorry, I thought that I'd got the browser open, but I think when I closed everything down with the video, it disappeared. Okay. So what we want to do, we'll set you up with your own giving platform. Can you still see my screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's minimize this. Let me just try. Are we still good? Awesome. So when you log in, it takes you straight to your own dashboard and gives you this little kick every time you log in, which tells you how many giving impacts. So with my pounds and pence, we've made 21,000 total impacts in 18 months, which blows my mind really, because we are literally in sometimes giving £1.11, but it's making a massive difference to a project on the ground that actually only needs 10 pence to do a part of that thing. And then what I love is that if I can't do the whole thing, I have that knowledge that around the world together, everyone in their pounds and pence are creating a massive impact for that one particular project. We've given $2,300 in the last 18 months and a total of 85 projects. You could just focus entirely on one project. You could focus on one country, one goal. Like the flexibility is amazing. So I'm going to go into, and I should also say that all of these, so they provide all sorts of widgets that you can integrate into your socials and onto your web page as well. And they make it really, really easy. I'm not even going to go to that because I'm rubbish at all of that, but even I could manage it and it works, and you can go on our website and see that. So I spent a bit of time at the beginning just going through and sort of selecting my favorites. So there, I could just go to my favorites and go click, 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 click each month. That's one way of doing it. But here on the left, you can see all sorts of filters. So we could see, like, if we typed in, oh, sorry, well-being, will anything come up? No, sorry, Simon, not yet. But we could go down to the sustainable goals, for example, and select sustainable goal 3 and see what pops up, and then see what grabs your fancy. So there's all sorts of things, employ a nurse for $13, and obviously that will be a part of that, and it will be for a day or for an hour or something like that, but it becomes collective as you go along. You can see that there are 13 pages of potential projects that you could give to. So I might say, okay, well, let's have a look at the UK and see with sustainable goal 3, what's going on in the UK. And you can actually see these are 3 of my favorite, or 5 of my favorite things, are things that we regularly give to. So that's that. We could look at life below water and climate action. And let's knock that off. Nothing in the UK, but is there another country that might interest you guys? Where could we go?
India.
Okay. So we can see there's 3 pages of stuff here. So turtles, sharks, turtles. So that's kind of firstly how it works. So are there anyone, because I'm actually going to spend $150 with you guys today. So is there anything on this page that you'd like us to go for? We'll go back to yours, Simon, in a second. Any one of these 3 projects that we...
No, I'm good with turtles.
Turtles, hatchlings, turtle protection, all 3. Which one do we want to go for?
Oh my God, such big decisions.
Oh, $50. We're good.
You know, this is what I think funny is the hardest bit is picking something, because you're like,
Yeah.
I want to give it to everybody.
But
But you're right
joy.
that's also not going to be supportive, to focus.
Well, it is and it isn't. And that's the joy of monthly giving. So that's why I
Mm.
regularly give, because if I can't do it that month, I can go back to it next month.
I think the hatchlings.
Yeah.
Okay, well there. So they've changed this slightly, but I'm just going to add it to my cart and go back again. So let's go back to well-being. Yeah. Simon, any particular country?
There was one there, I think it was the UK, which was older people thing. We do a lot of work with older people.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Nice. So we'll add that to our cart. What were our next goals? We had education, didn't we? Any particular country, Simon? I think that was yours.
I'm easy.
I'm gonna pick the Ukraine because it's an Eastern European one, and that kind
Go
of.
on.
So we've got 4 going on here. Anyone call out to you? We could go with all 2, 3, 4. They're really small amounts.
I'm drawn to the orphan one.
Okay, let's run with that. So they make it too easy. Add it to our card.
I could do this all day.
Yes, can you see why I started crying the first time round? Yeah. Okay, so next goal was infrastructure. So let's try country less first of all. Let's see how many pages we've got. We've got 3 pages going on. I'm just going to browse until you keep saying stop. Bye.
I think provide a business loan to a woman. I mean, that's quite expensive. But,
yeah,
I was going to go with that one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Although I didn't look at prices, to be honest.
We're still good. We had 2 of you on that. So is there another one that we?
Maybe we should have a look at the partnership for the goals one. I think I might change mine to that. I like that idea when you said it.
Can't get rid of this one.
Oh, is it not letting you do it? Oh.
Ooh. No, it's not letting me remove that. Okay, we'll just run with that.
Okay. Not letting you get rid of it.
No, sorry. I'm not quite
That's
sure
okay.
how we differentiate between the 2 there.
That's all right.
Cool, done. Okay. Oh, that's just one. Support B1G1.
Buy a hat for them.
Yeah, but I guess what that means is it buys into all of their work that's campaigning across the world.
Yeah. Amazing.
One of the things that I should say at this point is that there is a monthly fee, and it is in line with the size of your business. So ours is $66, which is about £48 a month, and that allows them to do that. And they are massive in terms of their campaigning, their awareness raising, a really, really authentic, great group of people. So, you know, I'm happy to give that fee as well. So for the sake of doing what we said we would, we'll at least pop 1 in there. And let's just do 1 of mine as well. Oops, wrong one. We'll go with no poverty. Oh, I struggle with this. This is why I chose my favorites, because I just couldn't manage to keep doing this every time, because I again want to give to everyone. Okay, so we'll make this the last one. But as you can see, you know, the search, you can really kind of play around with the search and do all sorts of things. And that's really cool, even down to tax claims in. So we're going to go to our cart now. Oh, whoa, something major's happened. Oh, it has. Cool. And it's given us our total. So currently we're only up to $50. So what I tend to do then is start doubling down. So let's give to 10 of these projects. It's a bit arbitrary at this point. People probably have a more scientific way of doing this. This is how I manage. Like all 3 of you are up for turtles, so we'll do that. We're up to $85. So this is the pricey one. Let's see what happens if we give 2 microloans. We're still good. That was a little one, so I'm going to give to 20 of those projects. Let's try 10. And we got $8 left. Where are we going to go with that? In fact, no, sorry, it's £150. We've got $200 to spend. We're good. What would you like to increase?
Maybe nourishing food for children, yeah.
So let's just double that up. So we'll give to 40 impacts. So £60 gives nourishing food, 2 children for 1 day. So we're doing that for 40 days.
And maybe another business loan to a woman.
Business loan, yeah. So it gives 1 person the access of 1 microloan, 1 impact. Ooh, okay. Cool, we're nearly there. $8 again.
Oh, yeah, maybe the top one, the older people.
So try, I can't remember, it was $2.15. That'll do. They've already got my card details in.
Oh.
And that's us. Well done, guys. That's your first giving impact.
Oh, thank you for letting us be part of that.
And no, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's as easy as that. So just so for full accountability sake, that's us done. We're done. Well done, guys. You provided 105 days of community support for older people. We're thrilled you've chosen this board today, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And they'll send a little email. And actually, what really blew me away was that the founder or the co-founder on the very first day gave me a call. I think it's about midnight because they're in a different time zone, and then sent a text the follow-up day just saying, we're really thrilled with what you've done. Like, it means a lot to us. So they're really hands-on. So I love it. It's as simple as that. And it works for me and it works for my business. You can automate that as well. As I said, so you could just pick 10 favorites and just go for that, and it will just go month after month. And you just adjust your giving. The other thing, and this is the bit that we're working on now, is that I'm creating these things called giving stories, which eventually I'll start to implement into my marketing as well. So when you buy 14 cleaning hours from us, we plant a tangerine tree for a family. And so you can, really make it quite tangible for your clients and have that as printouts or embedded into your socials as well. And they're innovating all the time in terms of things like that help you engage with the people in your community. I'm going to stop talking because I realized you needed 5 minutes, Sarah, and I don't know if you guys have got any questions or thoughts or comments. But thank you for listening.
No, thank you, Antoinette. Yeah, Simon, I know Nicola just popped off for a second. Did you have any questions, Simon, that you wanted to ask?
No, I'm good, I think. Thank you. That was really helpful. Yeah,
thank you. For me, Antoinette, thank you for just touching upon like how you figured out how much to give, because I think a lot of people I work with do very similar to what you did of like, oh, I'll give all of the profit, and it feels like it's not enough. Yeah. Especially if I work with very early stage businesses, so it is that mindset, isn't it, of start with something and as you scale, it grows with you, but you have to be able to survive to be able to give, right? So that was really nice to kind of see your thinking around that and what you've kind of landed on, and it's and also just seeing the big impact you can have, right? Like, I think the buy one, give one model is so interesting, this platform, because it takes away all that time and the legalities and all of that, which means it's easier for you as a business, and actually a little bit for us here in the UK can go a really long way somewhere else as well. So it's really interesting to see the actual how that works. Nicola, did you have any questions?
I mean, we've covered most of the questions that I'd written down ahead of time. But yeah, I think it's a great model. I wondered, is there a way, and I know you said you can automate it, is there a way that you can say automate based on how much money you've made in the business? You may have already asked that, I'm sorry if you have.
No, I didn't answer that.
So if you can put in your data points and then it says, okay, well, I want to commit 1% of my revenue, and my revenue is £20,000.
Yeah.
And then it automatically goes into pots.
I don't know.
Not that you consider it.
I'm really sorry. That question, I don't know. That's a good one.
That's okay.
But they're really responsive. So that's a question that you could pop in a chat box to them and they'd get right back to you.